What's good, fans of the PMC? Dr.V here, once again bringing you our Week 1 power rankings for the D-League. Now, for this week, I am doing this alone, unfortunately. Cloud was not able to join, so hopefully I can get some people to join in for next week. Then, if not, I'll just be doing them alone. My schedule is a bit weird, so it's kind of hard to match up with other people, but yeah. So we did have one team drop out with Kai and the Bermuda Tri-Attacks. He had some personal stuff going on, so he had to drop out, and we got a new coach with Roshan and the Detroit Solgaleos in here. So I'm putting him at 12th just based off of where, he hasn't battled, he hasn't done anything with his mons. He did a couple trades to fix up his team, but I'm not doing post-draft rankings, so he hasn't battled yet, he's at 12. It's really that easy for me right now with that one. So, moving on. At number 11, so this week is really just out of 11 power rankings, we have Maxx and the Maxximum Charizards. Now, to his credit, Maxx actually played pretty good this week. He had a chance to win if he had set up Stealth Rocks or Spikes and broken the Focus Sashes, but he didn't, and in the end that cost him what could have been his first win of the season. So, yeah, he lost a 3-0 this week to Dolphin. So, if you haven't watched the matches, go back and watch them. I am going to spoil things, so if you don't want to hear spoilers, then go watch them. If you do, then keep watching. Yeah, so that's it for this week. Maxx, nothing else really to say here. So I actually do not have a number 10, believe it or not, this week. I have a tie for 9th between the Windsor Weaviles and the Mesquite Mesprits. So yeah, both of these guys played really well. Orso did win his match, but unfortunately it wasn't in as much of a convincing way that I could see moving him past up a couple of the other people's, I can't speak today apparently, in front of the other people that are in front of him. So he won, let me check this real quick. Yeah, he did win a 3-0 on his match, and granted, this was also, I took into account that this is also Kai's was his first league experience, so he did have some inexperience there. So I couldn't justify moving him up a terrible amount, but I felt like moving him up one spot to number 9 was a fair trade for me, and for him, I mean. So, yeah. And also tied at 9th is the Mesquite Mesprits, coached by Kyle. Now, Kyle did lose a 1-0, and he played really well. He played his own style, which is just pure offense. But he ended up making a big mistake late game, which cost him the game. So he's not moving down a terrible amount, I believe. At least I don't think he is. Let me double check that. Yeah, he's moving down 2 spots to 9th, so it's not terrible. He definitely has room to bounce back on from here. His team again it's pretty average apart from 2 of his mons, but he definitely knows how to use them to his own strengths. So yeah, he's up at number 9 for this week. Number 8, I actually have the Baltimore Oriolus. Now, this might be surprising, seeing as Baltimore, coached by CJ, was my number 1 post-draft team, but he lost in a pretty convincing fashion this week, to be honest. It seemed like his opponent had control of the entire match. And yeah, he did do a good job of trying to keep out the Mega Lopunny with the Musharna, but that Musharna is just, yeah, I just don't see what it can do really. Like, it's not, yeah, I've never seen it as a viable Pokemon, and now it didn't prove anything otherwise apart from stalling out a little bit longer than the match would have been otherwise. So that's why he's moving down to 8th. Like, it's not a bash against CJ or anything. It's more a bash on Musharna. I just don't see it as a viable Pokemon in any sort of format, really. So, yeah, knowing CJ, he will bounce back more than likely from this. So he'll probably move up somewhere in the rankings, but from this match, it's just, I can't justify putting him any higher than this. So, yeah, that's on to the number 7. So up to 7, moving up from 11th last week, we have Jack and the Maryland Mienshaos. Now, I will admit that I did not see this coming really. I wasn't expecting this match to go the way it did, but it did, and actually like, I know that he lost this week, but really it came down to one missed Stone Edge that he lost to a team that both me and Cloud last week had ranked at number 1 and number 2, which is RG and the New York Metagross. So Jack played extremely well. His match was extremely long, 120 turns, which is just ridiculous. It turned into a stall battle for a bit there, but they were both doing what they had to do to try to get the win. And yeah, this is probably one of the few times that you'll see me move someone up, even if they lost. I'm not generally very fond of that, but this match was just, it was just an impressive match overall. So yeah, that he has moved up to 7th in this week's power rankings. So on to number 6. We have the Volt Zoroarks, coached by Dolphin. Now, I had him at 8 last week, so he moved up 2 spots due to the win. I was really struggling with this decision, really, but I had to make the decision since we had to get power rankings out on Thursday. So I did end up moving him 2 spots, but I really didn't want to. Like, he could have lost that match fairly easily, even though he was in control until the very end there. But yeah, I feel like against a more experienced player, they probably would have beaten him with the way that match went on. So yeah, he moved on to number 6, and I still really like his core. I think he's got some good mons, and the fact that he picked up 3 kills with Mendibuzz is impressive this week. So I'm sure that I know that he can definitely play better than that. So I want to see him do better for next week. So on to number 5. We have Trev and the Atlanta Braviaries this week, right? So here's the entire thing that happened with his match. At first, it seemed like he was in control. It seemed like he started to cruise like he normally does through his matches, and then he took out the Gengar. The biggest play here came, if you saw the top play, is when he switched in the Tornadus onto the Garchomp, and the Garchomp rock slided. After that, it just went downhill really quickly for him, and he didn't really have a way to recover from that. So That misplay cost him quite a bit, and seeing as he didn't have any other way around it, that's why he's moving down to number 5 this week. So, number 4, I have the Washington Talonflames moving up 2 spots. Now, this was just because of how he defeated Trev and the Atlanta Braviaries. I think most of the analysts, except for one of us, chose Trev to win this match, and we got proven wrong by this. So it was definitely an impressive match, and he won it after he got rid of that Tornadus. It was a good game, really. Like, there was nothing that Trev was able to do to recover from it. And also, like I said last week, Mega Audino, I don't see it being useful. So that might come back to haunt Trev. He might want to start thinking about possibly using one of his free agents to trade out Mega Audino, but that's just my own opinion on it. I'm sure he has his own. So yeah, good job to Spencer beating him and moving up in the rankings. So up at number 3, we have Adam and the Kansas City Kakunas. Now, the match he had against Kyle was ridiculous. I'm going to go and say that was probably the best match of the week. It was intense. It really came down to what Kyle decided to do at the end, which is why he went down in the rankings and why Adam goes up. Both of them played really well. Adam knew what he needed to do to win and what his win conditions were, and he did whatever he could. And the Genesect coming in clutch and getting 3 kills there near the end. So yeah, I don't know, this match was just really impressive to me. I thought it was a really high caliber match, and definitely something that I'll look forward, hoping that they play again at some point. So yeah. Next up, at the number 3 spot, or oh no, 2 spot actually, we have Akki and the Portland Crobats. So this team, yeah, he beat CJ last week, as I mentioned earlier. He actually managed to balance out the kills really evenly through his mons this week. Megalopony got 2, and all the rest except for Magneton got 1. So this was definitely an impressive match. He showed that he knew where to handle himself in order to get the win last week, and he pretty much shut down CJ, really. Like, he had control for most of the match. Like, even when CJ would switch in Musharna to Megalopony, he was able to predict that fairly easily after 1 or 2 switches and do the appropriate things. So yeah, good job to Akki. Hopefully you keep it up on here. Like I said, his team is really scary with Lando T, Megalopony, and Hoopa. So we'll see what he can do the rest of the way here. And finally, at number 1, we have RG and the New York Metagross moving up 1 spot. So, like I said, this match was really long, and the fact is that it could have gone either way. But one big thing that I did see with this was that his Volcanion did not have a way to hit the Kyurem, really, which was the biggest issue. But after he got rid of the other things fairly decently, it was just the Kyurem that made this into a stall fest. And yeah, He's the number 1 again this week. He didn't lose, and he played really well. So I can't knock him on anything that he did. He did what he had to do to win, and Jack and the Maryland Mienshaos did what they did to have to try to win. And in the end, RJ got the win, even though it was a real long match. So those are power rankings for this week. Sorry about the quality about this video, honestly. Like, I don't have as much time as I normally do. Promise you that from now on they will look at least as good as the first one, if not better. So until next time, guys, later.